All right, here we go. Bigger footy time. Welcome everybody. First episode. We are wrapped to be here. We've got JJ. How are you, mate?
Great drive up. I didn't know the tunnel actually, there was an exit to the tunnel. I thought it was just a black hole, that part of Melbourne. So it was good to actually go through the tunnel and out the other side.
Mate, welcome to how everyone else lives, having to commute normally and work normal office hours. Flanas, how are you, mate?
Very good. It was a huge round of footy. Had a few Fox Fridays and it was...
Drowning Your Sorrows.
First one.
9 glorious Drowning the Sorrows. Mate, we were good.
Drowning Your Sorrows, the Swannies.
All right, we're cracking our first Fox Friday beer here. Thanks to our great mates at Fox Friday Brewery, our main sponsor for Bigger Footy this year. Thanks to the guys down there. And behind the producer's desk, not hosting today.
No, it's your role, Patto.
Bit of a change of attack there, Moff.
The arm farmer.
The arm farmer. Well, when you have a superstar lineup like we do today, I have to come back to the producer chair. So happy to do that.
I'm never letting you get away from the arm farmer. It's just it's been the highlight of 2025 for me. Learning what an arm farmer is.
Can you explain arm farmer for everybody?
Well, I was wondering where Moff was. He wasn't sort of active on the chat, and I'm like, come on, you're the man who's got to be out. He's got to be locked in 24/7. And he said he'd been arm farming. Is that right?
I was in the arm farm, and JJ's like, "What?
The gym,
the gym,
Yeah.
shifting a bit of tin."
He is putting some size on. I like that. I've seen it firsthand from Moff. So just change that physique.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be a good pickup for someone mid-season. He's saying he's not playing footy, but I think there's a lot of footy left in you, Moff.
Swan Hill, if you're listening.
Sea Lake, daily for
Sorry, find a spot for you. But look, enough of that. I'm not going to ask you all how your weekend was, because we just want to get straight into the footy. Round one, it's finally here. The season proper. What do we think? Let's start with Carlton Richmond. What was your main takeout?
I can't believe Flanas. Look, Richmond winning the game, surprise enough. It was circle work for about a quarter and a half, and then what happened?
Well, I thought the Blues were actually all right at the start.
That's what I'm saying. It was circle work. It looked 100 points all over.
Yeah.
And then something's happened at half time.
Something has happened.
What do we reckon's going on there? Because I feel like I wasn't in the rooms, but I feel like Vossi's gone and said something that's hasn't aligned with the playing group, and they've come out after half time thinking, nah, fuck that.
Yeah.
So you reckon he's given him a huge spray for that second quarter?
It felt like that. Being there at the ground, just the body language completely changed after half time, and they looked flat as a tack. They couldn't hit a kick. They fumbling everything. Their minds just weren't in it. And Richmond just desperate, organised. And, Blues are nowhere. So I feel like there's something that's been said there that, he said something to Crippo, and Crippo's gone, I don't agree with that.
At quarter time, I sent my two kids who are Richmond fans to bed. I said, boys, this could get ugly. You need to go to sleep.
You don't need to be partake in this.
But and I was thinking, whenever there's a late goal on half time, Richmond, young team coming in, I was thinking about what Uze would have been saying. He would have been saying, boys, we're in this. We've come out, deer in the headlights. The first quarter was a bit all over the shop, but we've settled now. We've calmed. Let's have a crack. Nothing to lose mentality. And you can just tell. I think Carlton probably tightened up, weight of expectation, playing against the bottom side, not expected to win a game, and it's probably one of the best Richmond home and away victories of the last 20 years.
And equally, I've been thinking a lot about it since the game. It's one of the worst losses you could ever recall, isn't it? I mean, losing. Someone said to me, like, losing to the Essendon top-up team, but there were guys who had played, Adam Cooney and James Kelly and Paul Chapman. There were decent players in that team. From Carlton's perspective, and you've sat in some bad game reviews, that would have been a tough. The walk into Icon Park the next morning with cameras everywhere. As soon as you set more cameras, the worse the result.
Cancel their Members' Day.
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah, that was funny. On SEN, it was on the Friday.
I might have got a little texty from SEN too, just to lay off the because I put it out on X. That how ironic, how funny. They've just planned for a 10-goal win. We'll have our Members' Day the next day. We'll get people buying memberships, 3-game, 5-game, pet memberships.
So what, Hutchie tried to gag you, did he?
No, it wasn't Archie, but I was just told just to be careful. But I'm a freelancer. I do what I want. So,
exactly.
How good was that? Just to add salt.
And it's been just one thing after another. They had the Luke Sayers thing in the off-season. Then they've given up Matt Kennedy, who's had a blinder over at the Bulldogs in the first game. Like Cripper and Walsh, wouldn't have been happy with losing him. And then Barras and Houston, they were available. They wanted to come to Victoria. And
Yeah.
they've said, no,
Couldn't
don't
get
worry
him,
about
yeah.
that. We'll just let Wiedering do it on his own. So it's grim.
And
at
they've got the
Blues.
Hawks next up. So the temperature test for them rolls around quite quickly. So
It's going to make some great viewing next Thursday night. I can't wait for that. Moff, you're a big Luke Sayers fan and I've covered it on the summer series.
Luke Sayers fan.
Nah, I'm a big fan of Carlton losing. So I was at home. I live across the road from the G, and I was at home at 3/4 time. And when Tom Brown kicked that goal, I raced over to the G and watched the last quarter, and it was the best. It was the best quarter of football. I had about 15 mates all there, Carlton, Richmond. And I just got to see them all lose. So especially the Carlton boys, but yeah.
You know, I saw Moff's Insta story come up and it had a little the green. I was in the close friends group. Some of his reptile mates carrying on there at the end. That was some good vision.
There was some good vision.
What about Dusty 2.0, Sammy Layla?
Yeah, he looked good. They all look good. They all contributed, didn't they, the young guys?
Yeah.
It's going to be a tough year for them, though. They're going to have to they've got to go into a different environment. They're going to have some games where they don't have big crowds, so it's not going to be easy for them. I wouldn't be getting carried away if I was a Richmond fan.
No, let's not put a ceiling on it. The lid's off.
Fair.
Tigers are back.
Go to the next game.
Sammy Laylaw, what a star.
With
He
the
just
flopper
moves
hanging
like
out.
Dusty.
Had the flopper out.
Is that real or is that AI?
That was
it's
real.
real.
I think it's real.
Is it?
Yeah.
And he played into it as well. He's a good sport. He's Instagram caption. He was recognising what happened, and all his teammates were getting around him. I think they were tagging Bonds and whatnot. So some good gear
Dusty's
there.
on the Bonds deal, so they're comparing him to Dusty. So
Well,
there might
I
be a little
remember-
commercial opportunity.
I remember as a 15-year-old playing footy in boxer shorts, and I had something similar happen to me then. And you learn your lesson early. You have to wear some sort of briefs.
Packing heat when you're a young man.
Yeah. Oh well, just a
Jock strap.
Yeah, meat. What do they call it? Not meat and three veg.
Meat and potatoes.
Meat and potatoes. No, all. I don't know. Is it all bone, no dinner? No. What is it?
I don't know.
What's the
You're,
saying?
you're
Just
the
let
one.
him drown.
Cock and balls. That's what I'm trying to think.
I'd move on to Friday night footy if I were you.
Friday night footy, Josh. Essendon versus the Hawks. Now, what do we think there? I personally thought that the Bombers had a decent crack.
Yeah, they did. I think the Hawks are the story here. The Hawks are the real deal.
Yeah.
Now, the question was this year, the weight of expectation. How do they deal with it? How do the acquisitions fit in as well? It's not just because you're a good player like Barris and Battle. It doesn't mean you're going to fit in. And I had some queries around, they had to put Frost as sub. Sicily played back. How much work is he going to do as a forward? But they are the real deal. They're probably the best kicking team in the AFL, which is very, very important. And their system was so obvious versus what Essendon were trying. Essendon were trying to do this and that. It wasn't really obvious what Essendon were trying to do, whether they were trying to move the ball, whether they were trying to defend. But the Hawks have a great system and they have great personnel.
Player for player, Hawthorn are just far more skilled across 22. And the efficiency of guys like Sicily and Weddle when they intercept and then rebound, like compared to the Essendon halfbacks, it's just polar opposites. Essendon couldn't hit a target coming out of the back half, as he said about the ball movement and the system going forward. Just nowhere near where Hawthorn's at. And then in the forward half, their three smalls have got 40 disposals and kicked 8 goals between them. Essendon struggled
They're
to get...
dynamic, aren't they?
Yeah.
They're really
unreal.
dynamic.
I think the Hawks, their ability to be able to play slow when they need to. You think of like to Sicily just holding it up. I mean, they've got amazing kicking skills, so they can slow it up and still penetrate and be damaging and get the ball in their forward half, get ground position. Like I think, most sides these days will then, set up behind the ball, score off a turnover, but being able to have two different game styles, you see it a lot from an NBA perspective on how teams want to play.
A plan B, which is
plan
what
B.
a lot of people complain about with coaches, not having a plan B. The MCG suits them so much as well because they've got such dynamic athletes in their team, like Moore and Ginnivan and Watson and these guys, McDonald, McKenzie. The game is so much about like getting contest to contest, but getting there fast. You've got to be able to get there quickly. So back in the 80s or 90s, you think about a Greg Williams, just gets everywhere, but goes, sort of slowly, gets from A to B quite slowly. But that's the pace of the game. Now it's about being dynamic. You've got to get there quickly, and the best midfielders and the best high half forwards, and that's why the high half forwards are so important. We'll talk about some of those guys in some of the other games. That's why Hawthorn are so dynamic. The space of the MCG MCG that can create space in attack, and you can't stop them.
And that word dynamic, the Bombers, they were good. They just weren't dynamic enough. They had 10 more inside 50, 20 more tackles, more contested ball, more uncontested ball, but they just don't do enough with it. So.
Yeah, efficiency's not their strong suit, which is similar for a few teams who played good footy, like the D's we'll get to later on. The D's, again, they win contested ball, they win inside 50, but they don't win the game. When that's a common trend and a theme for your team, that's when you know you're not quite potent enough. And they lose Kyle Langford, which hurts. That's going to really hurt them because I thought he was in for a big year.
So Drapes and Kako and Gresham, they've got to make that function. I think don't have Peter Wright. They've lost Stringer. Langford's out now, so I think that's going to be the three that have to find a way to make things work. Yeah,
it's going to be interesting to see how they get their goals. I don't know. What do you think of Drapes' game, Moff?
No, he built really well into it, I thought. His ability to just crash packs and bring the ball to ground is going to be that more important now that there's no Langford. But also, I think Nate Caddy has to really take his opportunity now. They've said he's had a massive preseason, so he needs to.
We're asking a lot of him, though, aren't we? Like he's a second year. He's a second year key forward. Typically, they take some time. So, we're basically pinning our hopes from an Essendon perspective on Kako as a second gamer moving forward, and Caddy as a second year tall forward. So,
two parade boys, the school I went to. So I've got full faith in them. But do you reckon Caddy can play inside 50?
Yes. Yeah. He's a roamer, though, because he's not 6'6" either. No. He's about 6'3". He's rangy. He seems like a guy that's going to want to get up the ground and then work his way back. It's just a lot to ask of these guys. That's why, Essendon look like they're going to have a crack. They're going to really have a crack all season long, but they are definitely, personnel-wise, they're down a few soldiers.
Yeah. And I think early call, Dylan Moore, All-Australian for the
Back
Hawks.
to back.
Yeah. I think he's looking very good, very sharp,
just
smart
a workhorse.
And we said Carlton's got him next week, and I just don't think they've got the small backs to cover what Hawthorn's got. I think it's going to be they'll run right.
I agree with that. Yeah, that's going to be a tough night for Carlton.
Definitely. Your old mob where you play, how many games you play at the Cats, JJ?
Just the two.
Two. So you pulled the jumper on, and you're a Premiership ruck coach.
Yep.
What do you think of the Cats? Geez, they looked sharp. The bigger footy WhatsApp group was fired up because there's you were big on Freo. You weren't high. Sorry, you weren't.
No.
You were big on Freo not making the 8.
Yeah, I'm low on Freo.
You're low on Freo. I've got Freo winning the flag with the Giants.
I'm not big on Freo.
What a setback.
You're not a Freo man?
No.
Were you on Freo? You were on Freo.
I was on Freo, yeah.
Yeah, Moff and I.
What a setback. The flag. I don't reckon teams that win the flag have losses like that.
No Ruckman, no Shea Bolton, though.
Well, they had Luke Jackson.
Yeah, big boy Darcy.
Well, he's about as available as you and I at the moment. He's just not around. He's been going to Europe to get his knee and other things sorted out. They were. I'll start with Geelong. Geelong was sensational. Bailey Smith on debut.
Awesome. How good does he look at the headband and the flowing locks in the hoops?
Oh, he's just so dynamic.
Sexy, isn't he?
He's so.
You can say that.
He's so dynamic. And he played. Yeah. I thought they'd use him as an inside mid at centre bounce and let him run and gun and do his thing, and that's exactly what he did. So he was better than I think anyone could have imagined. And I don't get bogged down in but his ball use is not that good. He's a momentum player. So he's just about like run with the ball, get it forward. So it goes 70 metres forward and it gives the next player an opportunity to win a contest.
And his ball use was good on the weekend. He set up kicks to the top of the square, 15, 20 metres out. Gives the forwards a chance and they brought it. So I thought his ball use was great.
As a forward, you just want it in as quick as possible.
As quick as possible. Yeah. You don't need it. You don't need it on your chest lace out. That'd be fantastic.
Just give him a chance to compete.
At AFL level these days, you just want it there as quick as possible because you get a 1v1.
It's funny what happens when you play him in position.
Exactly right.
Bevo. He's an absolute gun, and he finds the footy.
Well, the last time we saw him play, that was the big conversation. Like, he's just stuck at half forward. He's doing laps after the game because he's frustrated about his where he's being used and where he's not being used. So he was superb. Sam De Koning held up in the ruck.
Yep.
Didn't didn't win the position, but had 25 disposals. They've got really good numbers, Geelong, when Sam de Koning is in the ruck. So he doesn't win many hitouts, but he's very good. So
Extra midfielder.
a Fremantle player will get the footy and they'll try and handle it. And Sam's got great dexterity and long arms, and he'll reach out and he'll knock the ball down, and they'll be able to win it on the second phase. So he might not be a dominant ruckman at all, but he can help them be dominant around the ball. Max Holmes, really dynamic player. I've used that word a lot, but it's an important word in today's footy.
Game.
He's a guy. He's so explosive, so powerful. Bailey Smith looked powerful on the weekend, so that on-ball unit looked good, and they didn't even need danger.
And their forward pressure and the way they set up behind the ball was Jack Henry, Tom Stewart, Zach Guthrie had 34 marks.
rock.
So you put pressure on Freo's back half, and they just hack it out of there, and Geelong just set up.
What about Freo? Are you?
It was a little bit worried.
Aberration?
I thought they would be better than that. I mean, it's Geelong.
No Hayden Young. No Hayden Young.
They're
No
missing
Shea
a few
Bolton.
players. Yeah, I mean, Sydney are going to be hard to beat next week.
Yeah.
So Sydney, will be,
isn't that a big
Sydney,
game?
Sydney are hungry for a win. So yeah, Freo could be 0-2, but I'm not giving up yet. Sarong and Brayshaw need to really dominate.
Yeah, they. I've had this view for a while with Fremantle. I think that the personnel, as I just bashed the mic, the personnel are actually built to be quite powerful and attacking. You think about, when they've got a full side with Young and with Shea Bolton and with Luke Jackson, Jordan Clark running off halfback, they're actually built to be quite attacking and get downhill and be quite fast. But I feel like Longmuir wants to play
They chip mark a lot.
a protective
Luke Ryan
game.
slows it up. Yeah,
I'm trying to get
wide.
I'm trying to get the numbers on the teams that kick backwards the most.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you now, or sideways the most, because a sideways kick is effectively a backwards kick, really.
Yeah.
They want to
They'd
get
be up there.
They want Luke Ryan to have it. They want him to have time and space in the
And
back
he
line.
wants, he wants to get it and go back off his mark,
Yeah.
and almost get called to play on, and then kick it to Brennan Cox, and then kick it sideways again. They've got enough players ahead of the ball that can make things happen. Just give them a chance.
Geelong had 23 forward, 50 tackles. It just locked them into that back end. And, you got to move the ball, get it up there.
Yeah,
Get through the corridor. a
Ask
little bit
questions of the oppo.
Now that if I said what team in the league has the most blonde-haired players, what team would you say?
Geelong and headbands.
Yes, the
Dempsey,
Cats. Yeah,
Blixarves, Bailey Smith,
De Koning.
Guthrie.
Guthrie.
Nevitt.
Yeah,
Nevitt.
it's unbelievable. The blonde hair brigade,
Outrageous.
running around. And I used to think Hawthorn was kind of known for that. Peter Crimmins, Sam Mitchell, Will Langford,
Is it the secret
Cam
to
McKenna.
success?
Well, just those blondies are really showing up, aren't they? Yeah, we'll keep an eye on that one, Moff. How we going here, Moff?
Blonde watch.
All right, Schwanny time.
Schwannies.
Let rip. I'll give you the mic.
Well, JJ, you've been strong on us over the weekend, but I think everyone just needs to calm down a little bit. We're a bit of a,
Don't tell me to calm down, mate.
It's a bit of an overreaction, I reckon.
No.
Look, we're missing Mills, we're missing Goulden, missing McLean, missing McDonald, missing Fox, missing Cunningham, missing Adams. That's 7 first-team players, so we've got to work through that.
Yeah, well.
Stinking hot weather up at the Gabba, perfect for Brisbane, and we're still adjusting to a few things the way Coxie wants us to play. Played a decent game, didn't play our best game, few errors, but get within a kick of the reigning premiers. Played 2 pretty solid games against 2 very good opponents, just come up short. A few little things haven't gone our way. If Braden Campbell's shot fades through for a goal, then it's a completely different narrative. And yeah, we're 2-0, but it's not doom and gloom from where I'm sitting. I feel like when it does click, we get into top gear, going to be humming again. Schwannies footy is just as good as anyone, maybe better than anyone. Just got to find that mojo.
Question. I'm going to ask a couple of questions of you. As Dean Cox said all summer, and I listened very carefully to Dean Cox because I find this changeover fascinating. He said that they were going to improve their team defence. They're going to be harder to score against. Have you seen that through 2 weeks?
I don't think we've been significantly worse in these first 2 weeks than we were at any point last year. And everyone talks about McCartan has to go back. I disagree because we've got defensive cover. I'm back in Joel Hamling. I'll back in Aaron Francis to come in and play a role.
No improvement, though. You haven't seen an improvement in the first couple of weeks.
But that's, I guess, a lot to do with personnel issues. If you've got McLean and you've got McDonald available, then maybe you can restructure your tools a little bit. But I think we've done pretty well considering with the guys that we're missing at the moment.
And the other element that he was really keen on improving was contested possession, but I think more so he specifically spoke about loose ball gets. I just haven't seen that, and the query on on the Swans in the grand finals has been just getting a bit pushed around. You know, some of the lighter bodies with Fox and McInerney and these guys, all light bodies. That's going to be the big watch for me, is because Brisbane are a powerful team, but just because they're big bodies like Jared Berry and these type of guys, they're big and physical, but they don't concede anything. When the ball gets out in space, they've still got the ability to go and get it. That's the part of the game that's
I thought on the weekend we matched that area pretty well. There were just a few errors, poor foot skills, gave up a few freebie goals for Brisbane. Blizzard had one in the middle of the ground. Zach Bailey runs onto it and kicks a goal. There's Ben Patton punches it straight into Zach Bailey's arms. There was a couple of just little ones that if you tighten up those 1%ers, I thought in the contest we were pretty strong for the majority of the day. And it was small margins for us losing that game.
It wasn't a great setup either from Brisbane's perspective, so I accept Sydney's outs. Brisbane hadn't trained for a week, which I don't think you can overstate. That's particularly before you'd played a game. So they would have ideally liked to have gotten in 1-2 more really big sessions to prepare themselves. Now, they might have been able to get some stuff done. I don't know, but it's not ideal. Plus what they were dealing with off the field in terms of just getting themselves sorted. They lose Charlie Cameron the morning of the game, so he does the captain's run, gets a bit tight in the cuff. They lose Kyle Lohman in the first quarter. They lose Starcevic, I know, late in the contest. So that, from Brisbane's perspective...
Plus the head start in the first quarter they gave up.
Real deal. Brisbane are the real deal.
Yes. No,
which we know, but they are again.
So we're not hitting the panic button just yet for the Schwannies?
No, Brisbane are the real deal. Agreed. Hawthorn are the real deal. Schwannies have had 2 close losses to 2 very good teams.
Yeah,
I love it.
Can't wait for the Freo game.
Oh, what a game.
So
let's go.
When is that game?
I won 3 of the Swannies. That's my bet. I think Freo will come out and...
Do they recover? Do they recover from 0-3? They've done it before. I think you got to 0-6 one year and made the finals. But can you recover from that?
Yeah, I'll be holding faith that if Swans kick into gear at any point and get on a big run and win 6, 7, 8 games in a row.
6 o'clock Sunday night.
Ready to go.
Perfect.
Fox Friday hour.
Yeah.
Bang.
These Fox Fridays are going down very well. I've got a little mid-strength here. What do you boys got a lager?
I've got the lager.
This is a fun way to start a Monday. Moff, tell me, how many weeks suspension should Luke Cleary get for kneeing Jackson Archer?
Adam, don't be ridiculous.
Headbutting his shin.
Don't be silly.
It's a strange one, isn't it, JJ?
Well, I don't think Jackson Archer should be suspended, but he's at fault. In my opinion, he is totally at fault. The way you don't ever approach a ground ball with that type of speed, ever. You don't approach a contest in that manner. He's effectively played chicken in that contest.
But the defence for Jackson Archer, it's in his DNA. He is son of shin boner royalty.
I don't care. That's irrelevant.
Put his shin bones right straight
That's
to
irrelevant
his face
in this conversation. He's played chicken.
Yeah.
He has run flat out at the ball.
Which he's allowed to do.
He's allowed to do, but when he's approaching... no, he doesn't.
Have the ball in his hands.
Cleary is clearly there first. Clearly there first. Has first play on the ball. Archer's running at such a speed in that moment that he can't decelerate. He can't decelerate, and he can't make any other decision. Because Archer gets to learn the lesson for free. He almost learned the lesson with 12 months on the sidelines, because if his foot, if you have a look at the still shot, if his foot was planted on the ground, he would tear every ligament in his knee.
When do we start punishing the bloke who gives Cleary the nudge?
Yeah, well, that's a factor too.
Yeah.
That's a factor too.
Yeah.
Cleary's got Cleary's the first player to the ball. I've watched it endlessly, and I've slowed it down, which I try not to do typically. I try not to slow it down. I'll show you a couple of screen grabs prepared for you because I thought you'd take the old school route.
When I saw that, I said, I'm not watching another game of footy for the rest of the year.
So Archer's not even in shot.
Yep.
Cleary is clearly not far away.
And just behind him, there's a bloke who gives him
and the next one is Cleary has hands on the ball.
Okay. Right. Yeah, so this is what the tribunal will be
And if
going
Archer was moving at a more acceptable speed and the correct speed you are taught to approach a contest, he's able to make a decision there. I can't impact the ball. I can't get the ball. His head is coming toward me, so I need to be aware of what to do next. But he's flying. His next step, his right knee
Kamikaze.
almost buckles.
Yeah.
So he shouldn't get suspended for it.
I think they should have a criteria when and fair enough, Michael Christian's doing the best job he can within the parameters of
Tough gig.
of the role. So he has to give that 3 weeks just based on the system and the points. But I think there should be a normal footy incident criteria that comes into a common sense.
But we used to have that, and the common sense was not very common.
No.
So we went from a normal tribunal. Let's just assess it. What does it look like? Where does it fit? Yeah, that feels about right. And it lost its way, so we went to the matrix. I think what Michael Christian's doing is right by just. Because he can't send them to the tribunal unless they can't get to the tribunal unless he gives them a suspension. So give these guys Scrimshaw the same. Give them weeks.
Yeah.
Let them go to the tribunal and then let them figure it out.
Maybe we reach out. We get Chriso on Bigger Footy.
We could get Chriso on.
Got a couple of ins there. I know he's got a tough job and gets a lot of abuse.
He's done well to last long in the role.
Yeah, I'm still amazed he's doing
the common sense argument just creates so much grey area. So that's why it's been gone, and that's why they go to the book.
Yeah.
Because otherwise it's he said, she said.
Can we stay with the Roos for a moment?
Yep.
Jeez, I was
pretty poor.
I was wild with them. If I was a Kangaroos fan, I was going to, and I said it before the game, I'm going to that game expecting to win. Yep. The Dogs have got...
They let some soft goals through, I thought.
No one.
No Bont, no Treloar, no Liam Jones, no Cody Waitman, no Jamara. Yeah. That's a few of your
They should have won that game.
Yeah. Thank you.
Just easy mistakes.
And it was death by 1,000 cuts for the Kangas too. Some of their method, and they kick it sideways and it hit the ground. And then all of a sudden we're in live play and the Dogs are getting after them. And from experienced players, and they lit up Caleb Daniel on some of the footy shows on Sunday night for what he didn't do. And that was quite damning. So it'll be interesting to see how they handle that first time out.
What was that? Just not moving up?
Asking others to do things that he should be doing defensively. Yeah. So whether he's just locked in a mindset of, I just want to get 25 to 30 touches.
And I'm setting us up.
And maybe that's why the Dogs didn't want to play him last year. Don't know. It's one game. But I'd be filthy. They dominated around the ball, but they got nothing for it. Zerha kicked 1 goal for. He was frustrating. They give up 113 points to a team who don't have the players you just mentioned. Staggeringly bad performance from North Melbourne. It goes under the radar because they lose by 16 points and other teams have lost by bigger margins. But I'd be filthy on them. And we, myself and Kane, put up some coaches under pressure. The obvious ones, Goodwin and, Ken Hinkley and these guys. Alistair Clarkson's got to be under pressure if they don't double their win total. Yeah. More than double their win total.
It feels like they've got the list, but it's not.
They won 3 games last year.
But they've brought in some blokes and, it's not how you win the ball, it's how you use the ball.
Exactly right. And they would just, look, they've scored 97 points. Fantastic. That should be enough to win you a game of footy, but they just can't ever stop anyone.
So you've got Melbourne this week.
Big game.
Hopefully Chom's ankle's okay and he can
what happened there? That looked a little. I was hoping he was cramping.
Looked a little innocuous, but
that can be the worrying ones.
Yep.
Stay tuned on the
Give us the lowdown
main app, and we'll have the.
I haven't heard yet, but he seems to be okay.
Yeah.
Speaking of the D's,
yes,
great game.
D's
was a good game.
Yep, they competed really strongly.
You got a feel for the D's fans. They had a great crack, but. Heartbreaking finish. Poor old Gorney.
Again with the D's. So you can have the D's. I didn't like them last year. Picked them to finish 12th. Got hammered on SEN all year, and I was wrong. They finished 14th. How many times? Again, I'm trying to get to the bottom of this number of how many times the D's win contested possession and win inside 50s and lose the game.
Yeah,
they do that. Every second week.
Petrarca, Oliver, Viney, Gawn, Salem,
they all play great.
Lever, Langdon, all had great games.
All play great, but they don't win the game. The young fellas that come in actually do quite well.
Yeah.
But they just don't win the game.
They're probably a dynasty if you look at it like that. They've probably been the best team at doing that for the last 3 years.
Yeah, they're a dynasty of winning the stats but not the scoreboard.
The same old issue. Where are they going to get the goals from? Fritsch and Van Rooyen had one scoring shot between the two of them. If they're not kicking your goals, who is?
Yeah.
And it was a difficult day for Van Rooyen because of the weather and the slipperiness, but but you got to give great credit to the Giants. The Giants just keep fronting up. I think I said on our summer series, I think the Giants are a great footy club. Now I know they don't have fans, but that's not really their fault. live in a part of the world where they don't care about footy. But their management with Dave Matthews, Adam Kingsley, the first couple of weeks I was like, this guy's a worry. Now I love him. He's a fantastic guy to listen to. Their social media teams really, lets us in. And they just front up and they just play great footy. They put themselves in positions to win premierships each and every year. And I know they don't have one, but they're not easy to win.
And the one common denominator from start till now for the Giants, Toby Green.
Yeah.
He's 23-3.
Massive yesterday in the last quarter.
Set up a couple, missed a couple, could have had 5 or 6. It's just toughest matchup in the comp.
Yeah. And they're going to get Jesse Hogan back soon, maybe not this week, but shortly. So they're only going to get better.
Yeah.
I know Stephen May wasn't there, but you take May out and you take Hogan out, and it's probably level.
Yeah, and the sealer, we spoke about announcing a best clubbyman award this year, and the best clubbyman is every club's got a best clubman award. There's a million awards out there for the midfielders, but what we thought we would do is let's try and create a best clubbyman award that the actual players want to win. So our challenge to get a sponsor, big prize up for the year. So to be a best clubbyman, you have to be 1, not a dickhead.
Yep.
2, a good bloke that you want to have a beer with off the field.
You want to have a fox with?
Glue guy, someone that brings all the boys together in the change rooms, fires them up, unselfish on field.
Yep.
And this might tie into a little bit of your cult hero stuff, Flanas, but our first best clubbyman award for the year, we're going to do it like a Rising Star Award. The first nomination has to go to Lockie Keefe. So well done, Lock.
Keefey.
He's I don't know whether he's won any best clubman awards. I had a quick look on Wikipedia, and I noticed someone had changed his name to Lockie King Keefe on
King
Wikipedia.
Keefe.
So King Keefe is up there.
It's a great. I tell you what, it's a high benchmark we've set with our first nominee. So Lockie Keefe, 34 years of age. 118 games, only 19 goals, but he's now done something I don't think any of us have done and kicked the match winner. Although, was that a match winner for Sportsbet on that TVC? I've seen.
New ad,
it may have been CGI that made it go through, but
he didn't actually kick that goal. Fair dinkum. So 11 seasons. He's played 11 seasons before this year, so we won't count this year. 6 out of the 11 years. He's played 10. He's played less than 10 games, so single-digit games. 65 out of his 118 games, he's had less than 10 disposals in a game.
Wow!
But I'm giving him credit for that because any normal AFL player would not be on a list with numbers like that. Yeah. But he's able to go, hey, Keefe, we need you to play key back on a gun forward. Yeah, no worries. Keefe, we need you to go and give us a contest in the forward line and play key forward. Yeah, no worries. We need you to go and play on Max Gawn and just hang in there and do your best. No worries. He's going to take some beating.
His super account would be doing well. Like every year on an AFL list, you get. I think it was back in the day, it was like 15K. It might be 20 odd now.
He did have a couple of years without the super contributions.
Yes, true. Yes, I did
dodgy
see
steak.
that on Wikipedia.
You had a dodgy steak, I think.
Dodgy steak at the pie.
No such thing as a dodgy
in
steak.
New Zealand.
Better excuse than that. But I'll tell you what. Yeah. Did you think he would kick the goal?
No chance.
No.
But I wanted him to, though.
Yeah, so did I.
Yeah.
So did I.
We're all willing at home.
Yeah. And it never looked like missing. It was a beautiful, beautiful shot for goal. So they're the real deal. Finn Callahan again backed it up.
Oh, Jesus, Jet.
Lockie Ash had a big game. And as you said, a couple of signs from Cadman as well.
Yep.
So he's going to be important if he can break out for them. They've got to get a few guys back. They'll get Riccardi back. Stringers, I don't think he's in their best 22. But he's going to help them at different stages.
Tom Green, Josh Kelly linking up with the handball through the middle of the ground. It looked real good.
Best key backs in the game, the combination. So,
do you know, we've been chatting about this offline as well. Like structure, I felt like any time teams are able to chain out a stoppage with a forward handball and then link up through the corridor, bang, 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 get it in, get it over that next layer of defence so you're not kicking from behind a stoppage. Where it comes up and the teams are set up behind. I feel like those teams, especially Gold Coast against West Coast, just waltzed it out. Geelong did it really well. You take that forward handball, and when you hit that forward handball, you think, oh shit, he's about to get crunched from behind. But if you can get that second handball on, and the Giants have done it really well. The
other team that did it really well was Adelaide, that we haven't spoken about yet.
Yeah.
And the reason why it's so pivotal to get that handball is defenders effectively play like forwards now. They say, no, I'm just going to go and stand here because the ball's over there, you're here. And this is where Darcy Moore's been getting found out. And I haven't been blaming Darcy Moore. I've been blaming there's been no pressure on the ball. So Darcy Moore goes and takes a proactive position thinking, well, if the boys up the ground can put pressure on the ball, it'll be a high ball and I'll be in position 1A to impact. But what's been happening for Collingwood in the first week was bang, 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 Giants are out, Darcy Moore, well, I can't stop that. And we saw some of that from the St Kilda defenders against Adelaide. Adelaide would just go bang, bang, 1-2 handballs, running out the front, shoulders out. I don't care if Steven Silvani's in the D50. You're not going to stop the forwards when they've got space and the ability to go up, back, sideways, whatever they want to do.
Yeah. How good's that midfield mix at Adelaide? You got Saligo and Crouch
good,
doing the
doesn't it?
grunt work, and then you got Dawson and Rankin in front of the ball moving forward, and then sending Laird to half back as well, where he's so good in the early part of his career.
And they've really evolved that. Obviously, I've watched them closely. They couldn't run 3 years ago. That was a team who couldn't run. They couldn't get up and down the ground. Now they've got Keys and Neil Bullen who get up and back and play that. We've talked about how important the high half forwards are. So they've got two of those guys. Rochelle was really dangerous yesterday. I think he had 21, kick 2, had 4 goal assists as well. He was dangerous. He was doing his thing.
Fogarty and Thilthorpe
look good. And Tex, I reckon's already identified, I need to be the third banana now. Like, this team needs me to be the third banana so that these big guys can dominate. And then you add Peatling and you add Cumming and you add some of these guys around the ball, and they've got some versatility. They've got some guys who can cover the ground. It's not all about Dawson and Ranking having to dominate.
Yeah. Well, that's what I reckon they've done the best, Adelaide, this year. Go to the trade table and pick up 3 genuinely good role players.
Yeah.
Neil Bullen, so underrated.
Perfect.
He does everything you want as a team, all the grunt work. And then Peatling and Cumming as well. But then you also add in Michelini, who's just
good player.
And Worrell as well. These players that are just improving out of sight. And then you compare that to the role players Carlton had on Thursday night. Nick Haynes, Lockie Cowan, Cottrell, Frank Evans, and Jesse Motlop. That's where your team gets better. Is those 6 players towards that are last picked.
That's a good call, Moff. I've got my eye on Neil Bullen for a Best Clubman award. I feel like he does all the right things.
I still have a little query on their back 6 and whether that's exposable.
Particularly the talls. So Nick Murray, magical build of a man, but he doesn't look. I know he's coming off an ACL. I reckon against the key forwards that can get up and turn around and pick it up off the ground, that's a worry. Didn't have a lot to deal with against the Saints.
Geez, that was so ugly.
I agree. That's the area of the ground that would concern me a little bit. Keane is a good player, but he gives away size. So that's an area of the ground that's going to be a concern.
They're going to play in high-scoring games. I
they are. Yeah, well, they're the highest-scoring team in the league 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And they almost forgot their offensive identity last year.
You've got to feel for Jack McRae, don't you? Like, he's been great for the Dogs, 249 games. He's played his heart out in his 250th, had 34, 23 contested, 12 clearances, 5 tackles. And his teammates...
What about that, Moff?
Just giving him nothing.
What about the Sainers?
What happened? I missed that. What happened with Jack McRae?
He's just saying his teammates. It's his 250th. He's played 249 for the Dogs. He's played his 250th and
performance. Played pathetic.
His teammates give him nothing.
I just feel like maybe that's where the Saints are at, unfortunately.
That's where they are at. They just re-signed the coach. Could you just alert me as to why you do that?
Yeah.
They're bottom
stupid. I don't know. Clubs are paranoid about members and backlash and people talking about the coach and the press. Just
the backlash was I went and read all the comments around from the official St Kilda release, and all the comments were why? We're actually not any better than when the last coach Brett Ratton was at the helm.
No,
I had a mate say something in our group chat yesterday. He said if you went into a coma in 2011 as a Saints fan. And then woke up today and Ross is still in charge, you'd think they've at least won one flag.
Well, it reeks of the desperation of the club. Like what Bassett said last year, some of the things they've had to do at the trade table.
A lot of whinging going on there.
I'm worried.
And the one thing, I'm not a Ross Lyon guy, but the thing he has been known for is staunch defence. The amount of times they let the ball out the back and their team defence was woeful. They've given up 135 points.
Missed tackles inside their back 50. Yeah.
I get it. They've got a lot of players out. I get that. Like their forward line is basically an absolute shell of what they want it to be.
They got Higo, but that's it.
They weren't exactly a force last year. So, they're a watch. They could be really bad.
Ross was absolutely ruthless. Best probably game review coach that I've seen. So I would have loved to be in their video review today. He'd just tear him to shreds.
Call you out?
Yeah.
The only team I can see him finishing in front of is West Coast.
Yeah.
Oh, was that it? Was that a pain?
Just before we move on from Adelaide Saints, I just wanted to make the point that as much as I grew up hating the Crows, and your old mob, JJ, but the Victorian South Australian rivalry, state of origin footy, and I went to the 97 grand final. Dad was a Saints fan. Adelaide came over, broke our hearts. Saw my dad cry for the first time. But I think it is good when Adelaide are up and about. They're great for the competition. You see Adelaide Oval
they're a
packed,
powerhouse club.
everyone on the hill, all full. There's a vibe. So I actually think we want the Crows to be good this year. I think it adds another element
They're
to
a powerhouse club. They're one of the bigger clubs, them West Coast, alongside the big Melbourne clubs.
And
So,
it's been a long wait, so they'll be up and about if they're firing this
well,
year.
they haven't played. Their last final was the infamous 2017 grand final. So that's a long
played
time.
finals since
Have
then.
not played finals since.
Yeah, right.
That's a long time.
One other thing, Rankin, can he win the Brownlow playing as a midfielder?
No, because his hamstrings give out on him, and he does silly stuff off the ball occasionally too.
Dawson could.
Can you win the Brownlow without having 30 touches a game?
Well, you could
an
argue
average
his
Brownlow
23, 24 touches are better than
Yeah,
the
they are.
32, 33 from Jack
Well,
McRae.
I
so-
called that game yesterday, and I gave him the 2 votes. So let's see if the umpires, watched it as closely as I did. Gave Dawson 3 votes in that game, and Joshua
he was
Shelley
good.
1. So
Yep.
they look good, Adelaide. I tell you what, it's a good game, Adelaide v Essendon
Bombers,
at the MCG. That's just a great early season assessment of where both teams are at. Adelaide should be really suited to the MCG if it's a nice. I think it's a day game. If it's a nice day, Adelaide should trouble Essendon defensively.
Bit of history last year with the Joshua Shelley match winner as well. So
Yeah, and was it last year that Big Drapes fell on the footy? Or was that the year before?
that too.
It was. At Adelaide Oval.
Well, we said Adelaide's back line is a bit suspect, and Essendon's forward line, need to figure itself out. So
Great
that
matchup.
should be a good game. It should even itself out. Moff, Collingwood, anything you want to touch on there? We skipped
How
over
good
that.
was that?
From cold pies to hot pies.
I wasn't off, and my tip going
Which
into
is
the
the real
game.
version of Collingwood?
This one.
Which
'cause
is more real?
You reckon?
This one, because I think Houston does so much for our lineup than you can describe. But I'd say, is there more perfect fit you could go out and get someone than Dan Houston for Collingwood? Because that means you have to now focus on Nick, Josh, and Dan.
Can't stop them all.
Can't stop them all. And it means one of them's getting off the chain. And they're all beautiful kicks. They all penetrate the ball forward.
Currently, Dan Houston's worth 140 points to you because he lost by 50 in round 0 and you've won by 90 in round 1. And this is why in trade period I was like, Carlton, forget about the draft. Go and, for the love of God, go and get Dan Houston because Carlton don't have any good kicks in their team.
Yeah,
and
he'd be handy
Houston
with the boys.
is a sensational player.
Well, you can't stop them all if you can't defend. I think we saw with the Giants last week, their full ground defence was pretty solid against the Pies, and they're susceptible if you put pressure on the ball carrier to wilting a little bit. But Port Adelaide didn't do any of that.
Yeah.
You
can't let Sidebottom at 34 years old just run rings around you. You can't let Dan Houston, who is a great distributor.
They know better than everyone.
He was your player.
Yeah.
You can't let him have
And didn't
27.
tag him. Did they tag him? Not like,
No.
Nah.
Put no work into
Ken
it.
Hinkley's
Goes into
been
that
a
mindset,
coach.
that they're prepared to wait 5 minutes after he did his interview to all get lovey-dovey around.
What'd you
him
think
and he's
about
been
that?
Belted. No, I'd just
The
be get-
volcano
I'd
was
be
a bit
getting on.
fierce on it.
Yeah,
Just
No,
go off.
I agree with Kano on that one.
Yeah.
Like when you've had a bad loss like that, I think you'd be getting.
I
off.
remember we so Bernie Vince left Adelaide. Admittedly, I think the Crows moved him on more so than he wanted to leave. He came back and played for Melbourne, beat us at Adelaide Oval. We were expected to win, so it was a terrible performance. And we're standing around waiting, and I'm thinking, just let's fucking get off.
Yeah.
We're all going to talk to him after the game anyway.
Yeah.
Like it's like, we have to show the world that we're respectful and we're waiting. Like just NBA style, out. We're out.
After a loss, I didn't want to talk to anyone for
That's what I'm
like
saying,
a good half
like-
an hour, and then once you sort of
And
some
when the
ice
shoe's
on
on
and
the
have a
other
beer,
foot,
then you're right.
if I play in a great game, I'm not like, you have to come and shake my hand. Like,
yeah,
please yourself, get off the ground.
yeah.
They've let McStay and Membry have 40 disposals and 10 shots at goal.
Oh, my goodness gracious, man.
McStay and Memory had
McStay and Membry had 40.
Wow.
Wow.
So pressure on the ball
Triple
carrier.
M's, my check Memory and McStay. Are you a buyer of the Triple M's?
I think, Membry's not going to pop up and kick 4 each week. So, but McStay and Myercheck, we needed another, just someone else down there, and Membry's better than Cox. So I think it works.
Yeah, okay.
I think it works.
So
but
you're feeling good, Moff? Pies.
yeah,
He's a hard worker, Membry. Like he's good to watch live. Actually, excuse me. He works really hard up and down the ground, side to side. So, I mean, he's gonna have his peaks and troughs, isn't he, at his age? But yeah, that was a pretty good performance from the Pies. Still no, I think it was the 4th oldest team ever that they put out in the park. So they went from old in round 0. And dropped out Allen, said, bugger this, we're going older, and got older, and they're leaning into the fire. So I love what they did with Pendles too. So Pendles was sub. I was thinking to myself, geez, that would have been a funny conversation on the back of a bad loss. But it's been in place, that plan's been in place for most of the summer. And I think Craig McRae actually wanted him to be the sub in opening round because the Pies have got 3 games in 12 days or 3 games in 13 days. So they're old, yes, but at least they've definitely got a plan. So Sidebottom might be subbed this week, or Howe was subbed out of the game. So they clearly look like they've got a plan how to get through the season with these old guys.
It was a massive statement, though, putting Pendles as a sub, and then you got Ned Long and Lockie Sullivan attending centre bounces for the first 3 quarters. And
I love it. I love it because, as I've said in the summertime, if Collingwood have a season where they just play all the older guys and you finish 10th. And Sullivan and these guys haven't had any exposure and you don't know if they're any good, but you know that you're not a good team, then you're buggered. So you're getting the best of both worlds.
Yeah, smart from the Pies.
If Port can't win this week, put a fork in Ken, give it to Josh
They've got
Carr.
Richmond.
They got Richmond at home.
I
In
think
Adelaide.
they have a soft
Write
run
him
though,
a
the
check
next month,
and
but
say, see you later.
yeah,
That'll do.
I know what you mean.
But it's they've set themselves up for this.
I don't think they should have given him a year. They needed to move on from him last year after he carry on in the final against the Hawks.
What they have done, they have sacked their coach, but said, because you've been here for a long time, and because we made a prelim, we'll let you do 1 more year. They've sacked him.
Yeah.
But he doesn't want to leave. At no stage has he said, I'm ready to hand over. They've sacked him.
Yeah. And now it's just going to be a media circus. Everyone's going to talk about it after every
Imagine what
loss.
it's like in Adelaide.
Yeah.
I'd love to see the Addy this morning.
Yeah.
What?
All right. Well, we've touched on every game. Now,
Is that every game?
that's every game.
There was
there
more.
one more? Was there?
Yeah, Suns just smashing West Coast.
Yeah.
They look good. Benny King, Coleman.
Yeah.
Yeah, 6.
Bang.
West Coast.
Good player.
Yeah, they're going to be pretty ordinary, aren't they?
Yeah, they couldn't win the ball.
Yeah.
What is it? 29 clearances between Anderson and Rao, 23 inside 50s for the Suns in the
Absolute
first
smashing,
quarter.
yeah.
Only 1 centre clearance in the first half for West Coast.
Harley Reid,
Only
absolutely
one centre
nowhere.
clearance in the first half.
Witsy had 68 hit outs.
Yeah.
Absolute clinic.
I
that
like
was.
Benny Ainsworth for the Suns. Half
Yeah,
forward, just
hard
tough.
worker.
Like, you know,
Bailey Humphrey,
Yeah.
hard worker. I'm about to give you
I like the Suns.
I'm about to give you a roughie for the rising star here. On topic, he's only eligible because he hasn't played a lot of footy last year.
Yeah.
She's a long way down the page. Big Ethan Reid, playing
Ethan
alongside
Reid.
Ben King.
Yeah.
He looks good.
Yeah.
$51 he is for the rising star.
There
Don't
you go.
mind that.
Just
Is he second year?
Yeah.
second year player, so he hasn't played.
And
I
just
think
didn't
you've got to,
qualify.
if you play 10 or more,
Yeah.
or you're 21 or over, you're ineligible. But he's obviously under 21, and he's come through the academy. So one of those.
Love that first player of the game. It was Wits down
Yeah.
to Anderson, straight down to Reid. And
He's a good
bang,
mover.
goal.
I think he's supposed to be a ruckman, but
Yeah.
he's a good mover, and he kicks the ball really well as well. So if he can
Okay.
be a bit of a foil alongside Ben King, and they've got Walter
Yeah.
in the mix as well.
Yeah.
So beware
Ethan
the
Reid.
sun.
Let's get a ticket on it early. And all right, JJ, what's your ladder? You've settled on a top 8 already.
Well,
You've had one look at them, and you're ready to.
I was forced in the off season. You know, we're forced to pick top 8s. It's a bit of nonsense, really, picking a top 8. I'd love to go around to everyone at the end of the season and say, quickly reel off that top 8 that you predicted at the start of the year. I don't think anyone would be able to remember. But 1 and a bit rounds in, because the Hawks had 2 wins on the board before most teams had even played a game. I had Brisbane at the top, and I'm not moving away from that at all.
you got them finishing first.
Yes, and winning the Premiership. And I'm quite happy with that. I had Geelong up there. Comfortable with that. GWS, yes, comfortable. Sydney in 4th.
Still there?
I'll get back to it. Collingwood 5th. Hawthorn 6th. Adelaide 7th. Gold Coast 8th. And I'm feeling, look, it's only 1 and a bit weeks. I'm feeling really good about the top 8. Except for the Swannies. I just wish I had the intestinal fortitude and the courage and the conviction to leave them out in the pre-season. I'm
That would have
sorry.
been silly.
Yeah. Well, this was Brisbane last year, wasn't it? They were 0-3.
They were 2 and 5.
2 and 5.
Yep.
After a grand final loss,
But
and then have turned it
Brisbane,
around.
we didn't take enough notice of them because we were just looking at the results. Brisbane were trying to tell us all year, we're actually going, everything we're doing in terms of what we care about is going well. We're just not quite getting the result. Now, Sydney might argue the same thing. So it's going to be fascinating to see if the Swans get to a position that's difficult, 2 and 4 or whatever, whether that we feel the same and we think they can do it.
We just got to not concede freebies and sharpen up our forward 50 entries, and we win. We win those 2 tight games.
How do you feel about Freo this week?
We win.
Flan, who have you got that can
That's
still
blind
win? Who have you got, Flan, that can still win the flag?
Okay, so got my tiers here. I'll go through my tiers. On fire, Hawks, Lions, Cats, and Giants. There's your first 4 seeds in whatever order you want. Can win the flag, going pretty good. Pies, Swans, Suns, Crows, Dogs. Not quite there.
So hang on. What was that category? Going pretty good.
Going good. No, we're going good. It was 0 and 2. Still going good, mate. Still going good.
The Dogs can win the flag.
Play 2 top 4 sides.
Dogs, once they get their personnel back, I feel like,
It's a big call.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is a big call. But you got to give them credit. We probably didn't give them enough credit for their win.
Got a lot of stars out as well. So
Not quite. D's, Dons, Dockers, Richmond, North. And rock bottom, Saints, Carlton, West Coast.
Carlton.
Yeah. No, I like it.
I love that.
I agree with that.
Well, yeah, I mean, Carlton's run is brutal. So if they can't get it rectified quick, smart, they're in some bother. So, I like that.
Very good, Flan. Very good, JJ. I think this has been a good, fun first step.
It has.
We just before we wrap it up, last Friday we sent Nick Butler down into the Fox Friday Richmond Brewery to do what we're calling our first sip tip. So Butsy went down there and his first Fox Friday first sip tip, big mouthful there, but better mouthful is the Fox Friday lager that we're all drinking right now, was Drapes have a big knee up into Lloyd Meek, and have more presence than Santa. Plus, Butsy said the Wizard would run riot. So Butsy put that out there on the 200 Plus Insta, and we asked for the community's responses, chance to win $150 beer voucher from Fox Friday. How did we go, Moff? What did you think of the responses?
I wasn't too impressed. I think, JJ, you were pretty close, but you are ineligible being a part of this panel.
That's fine. That's fine. But the acknowledgement, so mine was Sam Durham would keep Will Day to less than 20 disposals. Will Day had 17, I think.
Yeah, that is a good call.
And Kyle Langford would kick 3 or more. Kyle Langford kicked 2 and then did the hammy.
Yeah.
So
you probably would have
I'm feeling pretty good.
Pretty good.
It's not far away.
Yeah. We had a couple of other ones. Jake Loffridge. He had Kako 3 on debut.
Ooh, that's not bad.
Was looking good early.
He kicked 2?
He kicked 1. Did he get another one?
Just one.
No, just the one.
Just the one. So we can't give it a Jake. Matty E 1974 said Hockball to win by 10 goals, which was looking like it was going to happen, but Essendon fought back. And then BJ Squire, interesting name, Drapes to be the second player this year to accidentally show his donk out of his shorts, hitting his ankle. I didn't quite catch
Would have been an
anything there from
epidemic if we
Drapes.
had 2 and 2 nights. We would have been wondering what was going on.
OKC Real Mama 01, Zach Merritt under 9 disposals, which was a big bold.
That caught my attention. I was
Right,
like,
our
wow.
first tip.
If he got that right, I think if Zach Merritt wasn't injured and got less than 9 disposals, that person should deserve every voucher all year.
Yeah.
He had 26 and 2 though.
Yeah.
Jackpot.
We would have backed the truck up.
I
with
think
some Fox
we
Friday
do
slabs.
Jackpot.
I think the plumbers need to understand there was only 20 entries, so
Yeah, the opportunity is
the
there.
opportunity, get there. It'll be posted every Friday, so just hit the comments and then we'll pick.
So
someone.
this week, a $300 Fox Friday voucher.
Jackpot.
That's a lot of beer. I'm not an absolute beer pro like you two. I don't mind one. A slab lasts about 2.5 years in my fridge. But $300 worth of Fox Friday can go a long way.
Well, you can grab a couple of your mates, head down to the Fox Friday Brewery in Richmond.
Have one of those burgers that was in that video.
Unbelievable
Perth or Hobart
food
as well. But if you're in other states, we can do
Perth
an
and
online voucher. So we'll send beer to your door.
Unbelievable food and good vibes down there.
I got a first sip tip for this week.
Ooh.
Well, who's playing?
Bulldogs, Collingwood.
Ooh.
Does it have to be for that game, does it?
Friday night.
Oh, right.
Well,
Sort of plays into the Fox Friday.
Yeah, fair
I
shout.
should have given you those details.
Okay, well,
You got one for that game?
my first tip. I'll have to
What was it going to be?
It was going to be Ashcroft's to combine for 70 plus, Brisbane by 100 plus.
100 plus. Who are they playing?
West Coast at home.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Geez, you've gone light. No, Friday night footy. It's got to be Fox Friday on a Friday night footy. Call into the brewery too, Patto. The games at the G. Typically, these two can play their games at Marvel. So get to the brewery and have a nice burger and a lager before the footy.
Sam Darcy for 4.
Ooh, reckon
that.
they'll expose Big Darcy more. Yeah, Darcy v Darcy.
Yep.
Yeah.
The Darcy show.
All right, it's been pretty good. We happy with that, Moff?
Very happy.
Nice from you.
start.
Host with the most. Done
All right,
well.
very good. Let's do it all again next week. Hope everyone enjoyed bigger footy. Thanks to our great mates at Fox Friday. Well done.
Boom.
Let's go. Enjoy the footy, boys. Well done.